I'm going to talk about the long, hot summer of 1995. And it was very long. Um, like, if you look at temperatures, 30 degrees Celsius was recorded around the 25th of June and as late as the 20th of August. Its longevity is on a par with 1976. Whereas if you look at more recent summers like 2013 and 2018, June and July were good months, very good months. But August, the summer kind of fell off and became unsettled and cooler. And if you look at 2022, last year's summer, it was really later into July and August that the best weather was. We didn't have very hot weather in June. So that's where 1995 stands out, its longevity, um, putting it up there with 1976. Early June was cool enough to start with. The word was dry, but cool weather, chilly enough nights, that kind of thing. It's really only from the 21st June that the temperature started to build up. And by Sunday the 25th, we're kind of hitting 30 Celsius. And that last week of June, from the 25th of June to the end of the month, really, really hot heat wave conditions and temperatures of 31 to 32 degrees Celsius locally. And temperatures hadn't reached that since the start of August 1990. So it was a scorcher of a week, that last week of June 95. July would have continued warm, not as hot as late June would have been, but around the 9th of July. I remember when Clare won a historic Munster final. They hadn't won since 1932. And Laois were playing Dublin in Navan. I was up at that, and that was a lovely warm 28 degrees Celsius. So there was still some very warm weather the first 10 days of July 1985. By the following Sunday, by the 16th of July, there was a broken period, lots of thundery, heavy downpours and that, around the 16th of July, that Sunday, and days around then. Offaly were playing Kilkenny in the Leinster final, and there was floods on the side of the pitch when the players were going out to play, torrential kind of downpours, and the rain continued for most of the match. Like, it was a really wet Leinster final, and if you were to look at that clip of that match and you didn't really know where it was from, or that, you kind of surmised that must have been a terrible summer. It was so bad. Like, there were people holding umbrellas over the players when the team photos were taken, and real torrents of downpours, and players huddled around the dugouts and that kind of thing. But it didn't last long. By the last third of the month, uh, the weather took up again and was very good, 20 to 25 Celsius typical temperatures. It was kind of sunny spells and clouds and that, not wall to wall sunshine or anything, but into nice, lovely summer weather again. So really, it was only that blip in the middle of July. Now, the real phenomenal month of the summer of 1995 was August. It was the best month of that summer, and it was also the warmest summer month ever recorded, like still to this date, in the majority of Met Éireann stations. A really, really hot month. I tend to use the old Kilkenny Met Station values, and the mean temperature for August was 18.9 Celsius at Kilkenny that month. And only for maybe 5 cool days towards the end of the month, the mean temperature would have been close enough to 20 Celsius, which is really remarkable. Like, the 18.9 was 3.5 to 4 degrees above average mean temperatures for August. Just a seriously hot, warm month with prolonged kind of warm conditions by night and by day. The only month comparable around then with it was July 1983, had an 18.2 Celsius mean in Kilkenny. So from the 1st of August until Saturday the 26th, 25 degrees Celsius was broken every day, bar 2 days. So you're looking at 24 days out of 26 that were over 25 degrees Celsius somewhere in Ireland. And 30 degrees Celsius was reached on 8 or 9 of these days somewhere in the country. And there was a drought at this stage. I remember, the lawns were burnt up and becoming crisp and parched and that. But surprisingly, obviously, as well as the lawns, for gardeners and farmers, and grass for cattle, that kind of thing, there was having to feed them with um, winter forage, that kind of thing. Um, but surprisingly, the harvest was really, really good. And some of it was the wet weather that came in the middle of July helped. And like it was really dry, low moisture content in the grain, that really top quality harvest. That month as well, uh, while it was a really, really dry month and drought was common everywhere, just to note that the west of the country did have some spectacular thunderstorms the first couple of days of August. And as is often the case with heat waves and when you have drought like that, um, long dry spells, there were a lot of gorse fires around the country. I remember gorse fires in Wicklow and gorse fire and the Dublin Mountains making the news kind of in the latter third of the month, pretty high up on the RTE news rankings, the gorse fires and that. Um, so it was another kind of an issue that summer. Personally, I was home from college. I completed second year exams, and we were draining land, which usually would be very wet, but naturally that summer was dry. But there was a lot of picking of stones, and some of them were fairly large. They were into rocks and boulders, and using crowbars to get them out of the ground and move them. So there was a lot of kind of dawn to dusk work in the fields, and got the benefit of all that lovely hot weather and sun and vitamin C and everything being out in it. Um, so that's an abiding memory of the summer, just the amount of outdoor work in brilliant hot weather. And as the August, the last 5 days cooled down, as I said, they kind of got back to normal, or there was temperatures a little bit cooler at night and that kind of thing, which did bring the mean temperatures down a little bit. Went into September then. September was kind of a good enough month, and there was somewhat weather in it, but there was some lovely dry weather throughout the last third of it, in the parts of the middle of the month, and uh, good month, I suppose, overall. Lots of sunshine, that in it. After September, then October was a warm month. Now, as with October, often you'll get a lot of mist and fog early in the day, and there were a few very damp days where the sun didn't get out at all, but it was very, very mild throughout. And again, using the old Kilkenny Met Station figures, it was 12.5 Celsius was the mean temperature for October, which was well above normal. And I was back to college. On Halloween, it reached between 16 and 20 Celsius. It was 20 Celsius in a few spots, which is really high for that time of the year. It was a lovely, hazy, sunny day. Naturally, the sun was very low in the sky. It's well past the autumn equinox and that, but it was the last kick of the summer, so to speak, and the last memorable event of the summer. Um, so that's the summer of 1995. Like you could stay talking about it for a lot longer, and there's so much to talk about. But that's a kind of a synopsis of it from my own personal point of view. Thanks.